Hey, does it work? Cool. I'm just gonna expect it to work. Let me see if I can set it up on my phone. I only have one monitor, that's the problem. Surely it will be possible. Bro. I'm too dumb for this shit. I thought maybe after starting the stream the fucking app would tell me something, but no. I don't care. Okay, let's just start it. I don't give a fuck. I'll look into the chat occasionally. All right. So if you don't know, I've open sourced Todool with MIT. I don't know if the license is fine. Who knows? Maybe I'll change it. Well, yeah, basically, during 2022, I started developing it full time, mostly as a way to build my portfolio, and that kind of worked, as you can maybe tell. I don't know. It's I started applying this year, and then around August, I actually landed a job. So yeah. But yeah, before the project dies out completely, I just kind of wanted to go over the code base for you guys a little bit. Maybe we can see how some of the internals work, guide you around a little bit. It's written in Odin if you haven't tried it out yet. Maybe that's the first time you will. There's a few things I would rework here. I've written it in a README file here. The renderer, nowadays I would maybe do like a compute tiled renderer, just so that we can save up on rendering at least like tiny sections on the screen, right, where you have like a cursor that animates. You would only re-render the cursor and not everything else. That's kind of something that doesn't work in Todool right now. It just re-renders the full screen, or if you turn off animations, it will not re-render, or only on events. The UI I would probably rework to be more immediate style, mostly just to be detached from the data. Yeah. I would use a database, just so you don't deal with like save files and all this shit. You just have a database. It's stored, like you can also store it locally, and you can have like multiple projects kind of know about each other. It just makes life easier. And then something that people have always wanted was like a readable text file thing. I would, well, let's close Discord. I would probably do it in such a way that like you would have the database, and then the text file is just something that you can like choose to have as well. But it wouldn't be like, oh, you change the text file and then it changes the thing in Todool. I wouldn't do that. Just as a thing you can have in Git maybe. the problem with text files in this case is just you cannot really store much state in there. So like every task in Todool has some form of state, and it's just it's a bit messy, storing it there. Oh yeah, also ignore the windows. I'm not gonna fucking pay for that. The Canman mode I would honestly remove just because it's not worth it, I think. And I'd rather do like a different thing for that, just a different tool. I have been doing that recently. And yeah, we'll go over the tech now. I've already got some responses on this. Let's see, is anybody here? No. Bitrate, lovely. I thought I changed that. Apparently not. Anyway, let's just start. I don't care. Oh yeah, this is the wrong project. So here's what you'll get, right? This is a source. It kind of looks like this. Oh, you'll also probably want to generate a target folder. I'm not sure if Odin does that. But basically, from the structure, you have a build file on Windows, and you have a make file for Linux. There's a to-do file here that I used to track stuff, for myself. A little change log, you can ignore that. There's a assets folder with like a binary file for the English dictionary. Oh yeah, there's an ebook here. I should probably remove that. Yeah, so like the dictionary gets built up from this ebook here, and that's the thing. We got the shaders, the 2 shaders, I guess. Yeah, only 2 shaders. That's cool. A few images. We got TTF files and some other stuff. Yeah. The big folder is just a source folder where everything just kind of lies in. So why don't we give that a try? It's been a while since I've been in this code base. That's why it's going to be a little bit more rough. All right, let's open it this way. Okay. So a main entry point is the main Odin file. Lives in source main Odin. And I saw some people say, I've got the Heimdall. You probably need that until I change that. It's another repo I made, which is kind of unnecessary now. It uses Heimdall font stash. It's unnecessary because font stash is now in Odin vendor library. I don't think it uses anything else. Maybe HSL UV as well. Heimdall, let's see. Yeah, only font stash, I guess. Yeah, we can change that in the stream here. Basically, okay, so here's the main file. Let's just kind of start into it. I'll make the font a little bigger. So what we got, let's see, maybe I can turn on line numbers. Okay. Don't disappoint me, Sublime. Bro. Okay, I guess it doesn't want to. Anyway. So here's the main file. I have a little bit of SPAL set up. This is like tracing. So if if you haven't tried out Spall yet, let's just show it real quick. This is Spall. There's also a website version. Basically, we use like an old Spall file. We can open it, and it's just kind of a trace of the program. And here we can see message step, draw, cleanup, whatever, and some other stuff. I don't know from when this was. I don't think I was really tracing anything too important here in this file. But that's what it was. Spall is probably outdated as well. It's from February, and we probably have a Spall version that's native now in Odin, so that could be replaced. But yeah, if we just hit run or build, where is it? Oh, there we go. I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, so this is Todool, and it has the list Todool file open. It's not the correct one. Let's use the one in Todool itself. Current Todool. Okay. It's a bit larger. Oh, I even have some old stuff in here, huh? Describe save file format. Let's see, did we do anything too crazy? Oh yeah, it has a section here on my UI exploration. Geez, some of this stuff is really old. Let's just remove this. Okay, so that's what Todool is. Let's turn on the light mode for the stream. Bit ugly. Let me also occasionally check the stream chat. All right. What did I have in here? Let's just quickly see. Yeah, like the general stuff. Not that great. Anyway. But yeah, it's that easy. You just have to run the build file, and then it'll open up. Like I said, again, you know, I'll take the Heimdall stuff out of there. We'll do that this stream. But let's just quickly go over the internals. Let me just look at the time. Okay, let's do like 1 hour of just like going through the code. Okay, so we got the tracing. Let's ignore that. GS. So what is GS? I think it's a global state of the program. Yeah. So the problem is you have like multiple windows open in Todool, right? If we open this up, and there's just some state that you wanna, like, you know, here the theme editor is a window. This is a window. This is like the main window, and the theme editor isn't, right? So if you close the main window, you wanna like close everything. Stuff like that, you just kind of have in here. And basically, we store a list of all the windows that exist. It looks like some form of drag and dropping text, logging. Oh, cool! I did have logging. That's. I didn't think I had that. Where's the log file? I want to see that. Oh, probably in the. It's probably in the app settings, like app data. Oh yeah, it's under my name for some reason. And here's all the stuff that you might have. So it has like to-do files, in my case, old ones. Oh, let's see this. Man, it's been a while. Oh yeah, the settings of the editor itself are stored in SJSON apparently. Or you can also change the theme. And it's been too long. That's fine. I would maybe use an ini file nowadays just to make this sort of stuff easier. Oh, there's also a scale. Yeah, let's try that out later. key map. Oh yeah. I'm not so happy about the key map, but we'll see. So that's a custom format. We got the like little text box key commands, and then the actual Todool key commands. Is there anything else? Search maybe? Oh yeah, Vim style commands, and Vim insert, yeah. And the log file. Oh yeah, wow, that's being used properly. Holy shit. Okay. I'm not even sure. 20. Oh, it's from today. Does it always replace a log file? That's kind of stupid. I guess, yeah. That's fucking dumb. Anyway, so copy paste. I'm storing a string for all the copy data. Cursors, what the fuck? Oh, okay, so these are all the SDL cursors. So, you know, the OS cursor that changes here. If I go to this one or this, it drags. We got that in Todool as well. Some delta time stuff. This is probably really wrong because we use a delta time for all the windows at once. That's kind of wrong, isn't it? So that could be changed. We got apparently global animating elements. Yeah, let's see. There's a tracking allocator as well, in case I leak any memory. We got image loading on the thread. Oh, yeah, all these kind of things. You can mostly look at the data structures and kind of tell what they do. Here is the actual window, kind of what's a window stores in general. You can see a lot of stuff. It's been a while. So let's see. So the UI is made similar to the tutorial and to the source code of Luigi, if you haven't seen it. Luigi is a retained mode UI, and basically around the time that this was created, I was playing around a lot with UI in general, and I wasn't really sure what was good or not. I think I've learned a lot since then, but basically the UI that I have in Todool is very similar to this sort of style. Everything is retained. You create a window, you need to discard it at some point. The window has all the children, like the panels and stuff like that. The layouting is also very similar. So if you have any questions, usually like there's a lot of stuff that's very similar here, like the elemental structure, bounds, clipping, all these things, the messaging. You'll find all that stuff in Todool as well. That's where the element Odin comes in. So here, like all the messages, what elements might receive, the certain kind of flags, it's crazy. So anyway, if we look over the window, is there anything special here? Not really, I guess. Okay. Okay, so we set up a logger, we set up the like general allocator. In this case, I think it's just when the tracking flag is on, we use that so we can track leaks. Otherwise, we just use the default one, which is the heap allocator. So nothing too fancy. We look for themes, I guess. Yeah. Oh. So these are all the presets I've built for the themes. Yeah, just in raw raw data, I guess. I think I might have had an export button. Maybe that's only when I build in. Oh man, where am I? Do we have an export button? Maybe not. I'll have to see. But basically, we just pick the first theme here. The theme Odin file. Yeah, that stores the theme editor state. Here's the actual theme. And here's what we store in the save file, I guess. It's just a different version of this here, so it needs to replicate that. Either way, I'm getting carried away. So app, oh god, is this another global state? So I guess global state is more like the stuff that you wouldn't necessarily put together with the actual app. So the app is probably all the state that like Todool actually cares about. Yeah. So we got the way the tasks are allocated, more copy state, caret state that will be rendered, progress bars. Usually I put like comments on top of like sections over code, so you kind of know what like all this stuff is about. Typically, go to state, what fonts are used, that sort of stuff. So we initialize that stuff in the start, and I think the global state might actually remove it. Not quite sure anymore. Do we have an app destroy? Okay, is it called anywhere? Yeah. For whatever reason, it's done in here. Presets destroy. Okay. So we start with the window initialization. Again, it has some default sizes here. Command cap, combos cap. Oh, I think, yeah, gets a bit weird already, huh? So each window can have like different key commands. So that's why we have this sort of stuff in here. So like the theme editor might have different key commands that happen, while the Todool file might have different ones. So that's kind of where that comes from. On resize, we also do stuff. So like this is an event that you can set on a window. Update check. So I do a lot of callbacks here. Like so update before, it's like the actual updating call. An update check is more like the when does a window need to update or redraw, right? So like that's one way I did animations here. So it's the handled boolean that you have here just gets kind of, hey, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? And then it might actually update. So the power mode, for example, is the like little particles I have. Are any particles animating right now? If yes, then update. Does the caret state need any update for animation motion, alpha blending, or like alpha animation, the outlining? Are we zooming in currently? That's an animation as well, apparently. And yeah, so a lot of these things are done because we want to update the window only when it needs to. So that's like the one thing. So we don't do like polling of events all the time, but instead we use we only get the events and update the window when we need to, or if we force it to with animations. Okay, let's see. Anybody here yet? Nope. Anyway, so that's the main window, though. That's kind of it when it comes to that. We got the key map loading. It's again not that great, but there's a lot of logic here just for that. So I think most of that comes from you want to have like defaults, but you also want to allow customizing keyboard commands, right? So when here like all the defaults that I've picked. So when it comes to this, CP1, you can think of it kind of as a macro. It's just pushing things into a hash map, I believe. So the move up command corresponds to this like global thing, or this call, right? So, and here's a little description of all of these. I think, didn't I have a key map editor? Yeah. So that's the stuff that you'll see in here, right? So key map, push, to do commands, that's all these commands here. Oh, where does the color come from again? I can't even remember. Oh, if it's the same command, but it has like modifiers attached, it might do different things. So like the toggle tag, it has different commands, like 0x21. That's I don't know, but you know, it's this stuff. So that's like one command, but it does different things based on whatever key you've assigned it to. But yeah, everything you can customize with this. So if we see move up, we hopefully find it here as well. Yeah, so these are just the commands, right? So the move up command and as a string is whatever this to do move up would do. That's a description. And then there's also the mapping. I don't know how we call it here. Combos, yeah, combinations, keyboard combinations. So like shift down would correspond to move down, plus the shift modifier. It's a little bit weird. And yeah, I guess the way it worked is it would just kind of pick the last keyboard command that you had. So if you have like two move up commands or combos, it would just pick the latest one or the earliest one probably. But yeah, so we set up all the commands. Those are always the same. And then we look, hey, do we have a key map? I guess. Yeah, here it just reads through the file. It looks for the sections, sure. And then I also have some like force push when, I don't know if that even worked too well. So the idea was if you have some form of updates, you want to also have the combos be properly assigned after an update or like a new version, and that didn't work too well, I guess. Okay, so that's the key map stuff. Yeah, so we have like default combinations that we assigned here. So we just clear them or make sure that they're cleared. And then we push the ones that are probably now loaded. Oh no, okay. So we say here, it's either loading all the combinations from the file, or if there was any error, I think that's when we want to clear, right? Because we might have already loaded like 100 key combinations, and if there was any error, this loaded flag would be false. And that's when we want to reset all the loaded combinations, and now we push the default ones. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's where the info here. The log is also. Okay. Key map stuff, that's kind of complicated. Okay, I think here we're already setting up the window. Okay. Again, sorry, I don't have the chat open. I only have one monitor. I don't want to make it too bad here. Okay, so what do we have here? So if we run Todool again, man, the build times are bad. And if we look at some of the code, I think we'll start seeing all this stuff here now. Okay, so the main window is this, right? We got that now. And we're building up the menu split and the menu bar. So probably this and the splitter, since those are like two different elements. Like this is one element, and then the actual sidebar here is probably one as well. Panel init. This might be the main one. Split pane. It's been a while. This might be a... Where's the actual Todool one? Is it the task panel? Might be. Sidebar enum panel. Huh. Oh, I think... fuck. I think I know what this does. So we got the splitter, but we also need to initialize all these like inner ones. So the options element, the tags, I think that's what these are. Or maybe it's done inside somewhere. Sidebar enum. Oh yeah. So here we got the options panel. No, so everything is done in here. So there's a lot of like elements set up. And then the actual task panel is this one. This is the chunky one where a lot of stuff happens. Presentation mode. Oh yeah, I think I had a presentation mode as well for the demo where you could turn off the sidebar. But basically the task panel is where you have everything in here, and you might change from one mode to another. Again, this is just element setup, so what the elements might do and stuff like that, that comes later. Custom split. A lot of weird stuff in here. Oh, yeah, so there's this thing with the search panel, right? So like these are splits in a way, right? You want to split up from the bottom, for example. That's what we do here with a custom split. And oh yeah, I think also images. Yeah, that's why we have this image stuff here. Let's pray that this actually works. So let's drop in an image, like the preview one. Okay, so that's the image, right? It's within the task here, but then we might want to actually like full screen the image like this, right? And then if you click out, that's what that does. But basically that's what this custom split image display is, I believe. So it's just a way to display the image in full screen and take over mouse control, I guess. Keyboard movement still work apparently. That I guess that shouldn't be a thing. But yeah. So I think one of the things I wanted to do here was like maybe you could zoom in and out of the image, things like that, right? So more control over this sort of stuff would be nice. But yeah, so that's that. We got the scroll bars, we got the image, we got the mode panel. So that's probably this, the search bar. Testing 2, and then you can jump or not. Okay, you can. Oh, that's bad. Oh no. Why do these buttons not work? Okay, so that's one thing we could replace. So we got tooltips. Okay, I didn't remember that. So like buttons like that, of course the search bar shouldn't like disappear just because of that. The text box is fine, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. that's a task panel. Oh yeah, go to is also a panel. I don't know how that works with the. Oh, you can only type numbers. Yeah, yeah. So line 10, line 20, line whatever. So a panel like this would be a floaty one, and it just, I guess in this case, it takes away all the other key commands. Somehow. Not quite sure anymore how that works, but spacer, label. But yeah, here's maybe a good overview of how an element like this might work. So the go-to is like a floaty panel, so it's kind of, it might get repositioned through animations and stuff like that, which we can see here, the animation. And has a fixed width apparently. What we can see here from the settings, a margin of 5 pixels, and the drop shadow in the background. And the message user in this case is like, you know, hey, what do we want to do on these certain events? So how do we animate? In this case, I got another way to tell how animations kind of work, or how long they should run for, or if they're done yet. It's basically returning true or false. Are we still animating or not? And then whatever handles the animations, will keep running or not. The layout here might be more interesting for the UI stuff. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, so I guess basically we're like, we have a fixed width, but we want to know about the sizes of the children, what their preferred size would be. So we have the label and the text box, I guess, and they all have like default sizes. And that's how big the panel will be, plus the margin and other things, right? So I guess that's what that is. Yeah, the floaty height. Scaling is also taken into consideration. Okay, and the XY position is just stuff with window centering, which only works if you do that. And then it kind of fades in and out. Okay, it doesn't fade out, and that's kind of bad. But yeah, also if you press the label, it goes away. So this is the sort of stuff I didn't like. I didn't fully think about the design of some of these, or the interaction with some of these. I really like how Sublime works with this sort of stuff. It's all just within one text box. Besides the search, because the search is more complicated, but that's originally the plan was to have commands this way, I guess. Yeah. Either way, so the keyboard combinations here, and again, I'm not sure. We can look into this here. Did we have a go-to thing? No, just a way to spawn the go-to. So I guess the go-to thing in this case, it has just the normal text box commands, right? So moving left and right, selecting things, but it only allows inserting numbers. That's it. Yeah, but okay, let's see. So we got the label. We're initializing a label. HF means horizontal fill, so it takes up the whole region and not just, it fills up the whole horizontal region. Then we got a spacer here apparently, so it's not directly above the text box. And then the actual text box here only allows numbers, like I said. And then we want to do certain events on what happens if the textual value changes. So, you know, if we take the number, we convert it from alphanumeric to an integer, like that. Kind of bad. Okay, old comment. Yeah. Okay. Update focus lost. Okay, that's cool. So I guess if we lose focus, it just disappears. That's what that code does. But yeah, that's maybe a good example of how a panel and its elements works. How do labels work? I'm kind of interested now. Oh god, it's a string builder. Oh yeah. Yeah, so apparently labels are dynamic in this way. I mean, it's retain mode, so it's gonna create a dynamic string apparently. Whatever you assign to it, it will have stored, and then I guess you can just kind of write into the label, and it will use that. It's not too bad, I guess. It works for retain mode, but I wouldn't do it this way anymore, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, so in this element Odin file, you'll find all the elements I use in the UI. Let's see. And again, if you want to know more about the UI, we won't go too in depth. It works very close to how the Luigi UI works, and you know, it has a tutorial, so you can look into that. Yeah, so here's how a button would work in retain mode. The init would be here. You set it up into some parent, right? Because we want to have a UI tree, some optional flags, the actual text that you want on the button, some form of customization if you want to on the button, and then how the button is allocated. Okay, so you pass all these things, and then I guess we also have tab stopping. If you press tab, what happens? How do you go from one element to another? That's a thing. We create a builder, and then we insert the text into it. Here, we could have done something like this, like text plus, or we could have made something like 128, or how big is a button usually, like the text inside of it. But we could have definitely had like a default like this. I don't care right now. But yeah, then a button, like, it has all the state, right? The element state, that's a little bit more of how's the whole element being set up. Then the actual stuff that the button might need, which is the text content. And then there's also an invoke, which is kind of just an easier way to invoke things, I guess. Do I even use this in a lot of cases? Yeah, like this invoke. That's one example, right? We're initializing a button as kind of like the MGUI way, where you do like if button, do this, right? But here it's retained, so we want to have an easier way. So invoke, here's a button data, some data that you may have passed, and then this should happen if you press a button. So very HTML-like. But yeah, so a button here we can see has a paint recursive function. So how does it paint itself and any children inside of it? In this case, it doesn't have any children. So that's why we got state. So how do we, the target is the actual renderer itself. So we want to get it from the window. The pressed and hovered is just state of, you know, have you currently hovered over something, or is it currently being pressed? Text color based on the hovered and pressed properties. Then there's also an event here. What happens if the button may, if you want to highlight the button, do we have a case here? It doesn't look like it. Do I really have any actual buttons here? Like this is an icon button. These might be actual buttons. Oh yeah, I think that might even be it. So, button highlight. I think that might just be an event, but we can see that the rendering is definitely this. I think it's a little bit on the left to know if the button is currently being highlighted or not. Yeah. So that's the UI style. So if it's hovered or being pressed, we do an outline or an hovered outline. And then here's the actual text rendering. I think this is just, it's picking the right fonts, the right alignment, color options. So this is text rendering. This is how, so elements don't really have a background in Todool, I guess. So that's why there's no like rendering the background of a button, but rather only if the button is highlighted. Okay, that's how a Todool button works. Update, okay, I guess we don't do much there. We gotta, so because it's retain mode and we allocated the string builder, we also need to destroy it. Here the clicked event is, it's invoking the internal state invoke function. The get cursor is what happens if you hover over an element, so it returns a cursor hand. Okay. And the width, get height. I think these are events. Like if you want to have a button based on the actual width instead of being filled out, this is what the width would be. So the way this works, it just looks at the current font for this element. So the current font, then it gets a string, and then you just, hey, let's take a look at how big the text will be with the font, plus the margin of the horizontal thing. And then we also want to always scale these things, which I don't even know. I think that works, yeah. Yeah, because the font sizes that we have here are like static, but they're being multiplied by the scale thing. So it kind of works, kind of maybe not so nice, but it does work. And same thing for the height. Again, only if we want buttons that have like a certain height or not. But I guess for this, this applies a lot. And then there's also a keyboard combination that happens on most elements. So default way to call clicked event on tab stop elements, yeah. So you know how we have stuff like this with the tab stop if we move around elements? I think that should also work for buttons. Well, we don't really have buttons here. I don't even know if it works for a lot of these cases. Yeah, like tab stops is just bad. Okay. I wouldn't know how we get there. Maybe with a search? No. Go to? No. Doesn't work. Oh, I think we might have crashed. Nice. Gotta love it. Okay, let's see. Hey, we do have viewers. How are you guys doing? Am I even seeing the chat? Oh, nice, cool. What is the difference between a live chat and a top chat? What the fuck? Just testing it now on Linux. How to change the font size. Yeah, control middle mouse, sorry. What a nice surprise first. Okay. No, Todool has been released for a while now. But it's now just got open sourced. So, yeah. And again, I'm sorry, I need the chat on my phone or something. Maybe I can get it running here. Let's see. The thing is, I don't see the chat on my phone. I don't know where you even look for it. No idea. On Twitch this would have been easy, but fucking YouTube. Oh, I can see it here. Okay. I'll turn it on here. Okay. Live chat. I got you open now. Okay. That's great to hear. Thank you. Yeah, maybe you can play around with the source code now and add some stuff. Again, like I said, I'm working on kind of different tools right now. So just in my free time, but yeah, so Todool has been on the back burner a little bit. But it's the first time I've been looking through the source code a little bit, so yeah, it's not that great. I know. I think that's also, like, I think I initially wanted to open source it, but I kind of fear it being like, people not liking the code. I guess nowadays I just don't really care, because I've seen like production code bases and they typically aren't that great. Anyway, so let's just say that the element initialization is done. What do we do here now? I guess these are like the actual options for that we load with the sjson file. So this one, right? Yeah, so it has a few hidden options here. These might be interesting. So like the scale stuff, we can look into how well that works. I'd be surprised if that works. Okay, so the scale is not this thing here, that's the task scale, but the scale here is the actual UI scale, so I want to see how well that works. Oh, fuck. Let's put it in 1.5. Did that work? Ah, no. Huh. It should actually take the file, I think. That's weird. I was sure this worked at some point. Yeah. Too bad. But yeah, you could also set custom fonts here. Apparently, we'd have to look into how this the opening works to fix that. But it has the main window position in here saved, and then a few other options here. Let's see, can we enable some of these? Like, is it live? Does it open live? No, so no hot reloading. That's terrible. Oh, hey, that actually did work. Oh yeah, now I remember. Oh, I actually have the status bar and stuff. Whoa. That's where the other elements came from, probably. Yeah, so we got the custom tab bar, or menu bar. Man, making UIs is fucking takes long. But yeah, the status bars here, the bottom one is just stats on the current thing. current thing that you have, and then the menu bar is just more information of how like a keyboard combination might fit to a certain command, stuff like that. So a new file, how do we open up stuff? You know, you get it from other applications. Looks kind of bad. I don't like some of the UI nowadays. It's kind of looks bad. Okay. Well, now I'm still wondering, why does the UI not work? Like the scale. Maybe it's just being ignored. So I don't know. But yeah, so all of these other options should be things that you can set from the sidebar. So stuff like this, the tab size should be this. So the visual is this. Yeah. So if we save it now or close, we'll see 93 pixels. Okay. Yeah, so it's probably just loading the scale wrong. Scale. Oh, okay, so it overrides it with the current thing. Okay, let's just leave it at that. That doesn't properly work. Okay, so now we get to the actual task loading. Okay, how do we do this? Yeah, so we first want to take a look at the last save location file. So this is probably something that gets loaded with this. Yeah, last save location. So it's a local path. So it's the current thing I have. And if it does not find it, then I think, yeah, we're loading the default, which is the tutorial. So let's say it doesn't find this Todool file anymore. It should load the tutorial. Or maybe a default, yeah, so not that great. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so like a lot of these things I would now like do with a database just because it's so much simpler. You wouldn't have a lot of these headaches if you wouldn't do this. Okay, so I think we have font loading here. So because you can have a custom font path, we have to do this later, right? So this is where we do it apparently. Can you specify custom font sizes? I think it has a default here, yeah. Yeah, and then we also have fallback fonts, and we're loading audio files apparently. Anyway, so that's all just loading. And that took an hour already. That's crazy. When presentation mode, yeah. So we can ignore some of the other stuff. But the message loop is where it, again, you have to think of, we have multiple windows running, and each window has its own state, own elements, own functions, whatever. And we want to run everything with a global state kind of attached or running. And yeah, apparently we have the Windows doubly linked list. It's probably what this means, yeah. And then we just iterate through the windows. And if there's any window that wants an explicit update with the update check callback that we saw here, I believe. Yeah, this one. These are like explicit animation basically. GS, all right. Okay, let's just skip over that. So a bunch of stuff just for animations. So you see if we have any updates, we just do the immediate updating. Otherwise, we wait for events from the OS. Yeah, so the delta time is probably wrong. So the draw and cleanup is the actual, what do we do? Okay, so this has to do with what happens if windows are getting deallocated or not. Again, more internal stuff. If it's being deallocated, it does this, removes it from the window count, whatever. And then we have the actual drawing. This is where it gets a bit more interesting, I guess. Reset focus. So it sets up a lot of state first before we render, and then we actually, I think, where is it? Render element clipped, yeah. So we lay out all the elements first, and then we actually render. So render element clipped. Yeah, so if it's hidden, like there's a bunch of things here very similar to Luigi now, where we want to skip over hidden elements, check if the clip, like is the element even renderable on the screen right now. There's custom clipping, so say for example you have an element that's maybe not a rectangle, maybe it's like a triangle or something. This is where you would do like custom clipping, right? You could just say custom clipping. Yeah, would it be for this? I guess I'm more thinking of find by point. That's also a thing we have here. But yeah, anyway, custom clipping is, I don't even know if I use it. Oh God. Okay, I know what it is now. So the custom clipping is, you can like change the actual element that will be used for the clipping. And I think I'm cheating here a little bit where I think you can see with the drop shadow ones, you know, this is the actual element, but then like we want to like clip a little bit away, so we see the actual drop shadow. So if we look at the custom clip, let's say I'm turning this off, then all the load times are bad. Yeah, you can see the drop shadow is not there anymore, or it's like you can see it slightly, but it's being clipped away now, right? And that's, I guess, what this is. So the drop shadow is like a fixed size probably. Yeah. So it's cheating a little bit. Okay, either way, now it gets into the whole painting. So we have a UI tree, and basically we want to call the actual element rendering call itself. That might be set, like how does a button render itself? So we do that, and if the button, like if the message returns something other than 0, which 0 is like the default, then let's say a button wants to not render something below it or something, then you can just turn it off, right? Let's say a button has like 3 children elements, then you can just turn these off from being rendered. Otherwise, what we do here is we have children sorted or unsorted. Also not great, we are always sorting elements. If a flag is turned on the element, we're sorting elements by the Z index. So sometimes we use this if it makes sense for, I guess maybe the goto might be an example. Maybe the element is like actually below the thing, or the order should be independent. So that's why we have the Z index, I guess. Yeah, either way. So this is just one way of sorting the elements in the correct order. Yeah, and then again, we are rendering all the children. Oh yeah, I think this the focusing is the tabular movement. So this here, the outline. You can try that real quick. Lovely compile times. Yeah, so now you don't see an outline anymore. Oops. Okay. But you see, for some reason, this is inside the renderer. Huh? Either way. So message loop, we're inside rendering right now. Okay, so let's say just a window renders all its elements, then it's done, right? Okay, that should be it. So anything, yeah. Are there any questions so far? Does the chat work? Okay, so I have the main update here as well. So this is where like the logic is. So we got a comment. Compile times are one of my fucking hell. I love about Odin's. Imagine a lifetime of yeah, where was it? There was like a stream from the, I don't know, maybe we can quickly show it, like the Valoran, I think it was. These guys streamed once. I know I'm bashing on it, but I think they had like 1 or 2 minute compile times, and they were just speaking over the compile times over the stream. That was a bit weird. Anyway, camera mode to move a task between columns. Okay. I think that should be possible. Yeah. Let's see. Anyway, oh no, I think it's I think I disabled that just for Kanban mode, but or maybe it's not. I think the way it worked is like it shouldn't be possible to move things outside of a tree or like outside of its parent, and that's why it doesn't work. So you see how I cannot like escape here? Okay, let's go a bit bigger. I cannot escape moving upwards and downwards. I think this is mostly because, oh, okay, so for I guess this is a different scenario. On if you shift select, then it probably just doesn't limit you. Yeah. But yeah, I guess on single moves it does limit you. But yeah, you can always drag things with a right click and then put it somewhere else. But probably not with a mouse, with a keyboard. Yeah. Okay. So what do we have here in code? Let's just see. Jeez, this file is long. Rendered glyphs clear. It's been a while, so it's kind of interesting looking over this code base again. Rendered glyphs. Oh, let's take a look into RenderDoc. I've been wanting to do that. No, don't update. What the fuck is that? Let's see. Do I have any? Let's just go with the Todool one first. Okay. So, if you don't know RenderDoc, it's a way to kind of look into how an application might, get rendered. So in this case, you can see the thing I talked about with the re-rendering, because we have animations on the caret right now. It's constantly updating at a consistent FPS that you set, I think. Can we set the FPS lower? Yeah, you can see the slider here is a little bit weird, but we can basically set the animation like that to a lower FPS, like 10, 30, whatever, and you actually see it reflected on the update count. And if you set it higher, I think in this case my monitor does 110, 120, yeah, around that number. It does a like fluid animation. But yeah, this is one way you could see it. But we can also look into, I think F12, yeah, you can capture a screenshot of what's being rendered and how it's being rendered. And that's pretty useful to kind of just like see how does a renderer work. If you want to hack into it, that's where you would kind of maybe start, just to get a foundation of how it works. But yeah, basically anything not rendered should also not be rendered, or should not show up in RenderDoc. So let's make sure that that actually works. So we got 2 screenshots here. Let's look over them. Okay, so what do we have? 800 calls. Yeah. So if you guys know for Coder, this thing here, I made it work the same way this renderer works for Coder. And it's not perfect, it's just one way I saw. And it's, it's, let's just kind of go over it. So we go here, texture viewer. So this is the initial state, or like this is the final thing we see on screen. Then we do the GL clear. And then we start rendering the first things. And we can turn on an overlay here to highlight what's being rendered in this step right now. Wireframe mesh. Okay, let's do that. So it's a little hard to see maybe. Yeah, let's do this for now. Okay, just so you get an idea. So that's the background. So that's 6 vertices for a rectangle. Because I think we do GL triangles, that's why. And yeah, basically every text is a single draw call apparently. Yeah, like that, right? So those get badged. That's pretty good. So I guess if you have different glyphs, now what you could realize from this is, let's say you have 10 glyphs being rendered in a row, but they have different fonts, then I guess you have a different draw call for each, which is kind of bad, right? I think the more draw calls you have, the worse is the idea. But I think also some of this stuff has to do in this renderer with the clipping. So like this is being clipped away, and then this is also, it's I think it's a grouped renderer, yeah. So you kind of push render commands into a group, and when the clipping changes, so the clip rectangle changes, then it moves to the next group. That's basically how that works. I think as far as I remember. So yeah, that's why these are not like grouped together, even though it's like rendering text all the time. Okay. So we're drawing the sidebar now, and then the buttons of the sidebar. Okay. Text again. Okay, so we're drawing the splitter bar, and then the content inside the splitter. Here's what I guess maybe a little bit weird with the sorting. I think we have sorting enabled here. So you can see it starts like randomly drawing these things. And I think that's just because the sorting, like for some reason it does sorting in the code. And I don't know, I don't think it's stable, right? So you can see it like it does render the elements in whatever order it wants, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, I guess. But yeah, we're drawing the rest of the elements. Oh, and this is one case where you can see it's almost being clipped away, but it's like 1 pixel. 1 pixel is like still visible, you can see in the clip. So that's why it still renders it, probably. Yeah. Okay. So it draws the rest. What does it do now? Oh, weird. Oh, does it actually draw the rectangles? What the hell? Yeah, see, yeah, that's pretty bad. So it does draw the rectangles, as we can see, of a task. Even those which are like outside of the screen. We can take a look here. Resource, where was it? Mesh viewer, yeah, that's right. So here's the window that we have. I don't get how RenderDoc works with this. What the hell? We're inside a box. Oh, that's lovely. Maybe here. Jesus Christ. Oh yeah. We can see these are rectangles. I guess that's a thing. That's bad. So those should be called away or clipped away. You shouldn't draw those. I guess a good thing is we're not rendering the text of those, so that's fine. Text is the most expensive thing here. You see that's like 300 vertices just for that. Yeah, and then we just, all these are the same. So I guess one thing you can see here, like this is the actual element of the task, right? So that's a background. And then a task has UI elements as children. So like the button here is its own group. That's why you can see it being rendered. Here with the wireframe, you can actually see it. And then the text that's like editable is another element. And I guess we maybe have another shadow or something. I don't know. Yeah, so we can see it here as well with that. Can we? Oh, it is one draw call for this one. Oh, that's interesting. So apparently it's able to, how do we do this? I think this is cheating a little bit. Yeah, it's not a separate element. This is a visual element or something that happens in the task. We can maybe look into it. So the task message. So this is where like all the magic happens with tasks. So we render the panel front color. That's what we see. Draw tags. Yeah, so we are cheating. The elements or the tags are not actual elements. That's what we see here. So they're just kind of being rendered into or after this. And I guess I didn't make them interactable though. Yeah, you can click on them to remove them. So it's a little bit hacky. You can say, yeah. But we're basically rendering them inside of this, and then we actually render our children. So hey, that's cool. That's a cool observation. But yeah, I think the rest is pretty clear. Then we're drawing all the, you can see all the progress bars, and then the line numbers we draw all at once, and then the scroll bars, and then the status bar. Yeah, cool. So I guess like being able to look into the rendering like this is pretty useful. So maybe it even makes sense to use like different calls for this, like draw calls. I find this pretty useful. Nowadays my renderers don't work this way anymore. It's more like it's a hidden compute. It's like a hidden compute renderer. So you don't get like such a nice overview of what actually happens in the rendering. But at least the compute renderer is like more efficient. This is random to be recommended. Okay, I'm sorry if it if it was. YouTube is weird. Yeah, I'm just going over Codebase and how it's being rendered right now. But yeah, that's RenderDoc. I think one thing that might be interesting is how images are being rendered. Let's look into that. That's one of the interesting bits. Okay, I'm interested now. So let's start Todool with a preview. Let's save that. Okay. Okay, so we can see the images here now. Let's look for the image. Where is it rendered? I mean, I guess what's more interesting is, okay, we can see it's a different element. That's interesting. Okay, very pixelated. But what's most interesting here is the actual texture. So I think I ran into an issue, or if you know a little bit about rendering, there's an issue where you cannot have like dynamic textures, and these are essentially dynamic, right? But what this method of like having different render groups allows is you can just use like the GL active texture thing, and then like that's one way you get dynamic textures, right? The problem is if you make everything into one draw call, you cannot use this feature anymore of like being able to like dynamically have textures like this. So it's kind of cool, but it's also kind of shitty that it's not, you know, there's one thing called bindless textures. You'll find these like all over the place, but the bad thing is they're not really supported well. So in OpenGL, these are extensions, so they're not like officially supported on every device. I might be talking out of my ass here, but I think I've been having issues. And RenderDoc also, RenderDoc doesn't allow this feature anymore, I believe. And I think at the time that I developed Todool, it was still allowed, but it crashed the whole thing, and it just looked really weird. It wasn't usable, let's just say that. Bindless textures did work, but it wasn't great. Yeah, let's see. So I guess in terms of structure of the code base, if we just kind of look over that again, the source folder is where all the app code is. The global is global state. The element is the element file is sort of where all the elements like buttons and stuff live. The task Odin is the actual meat. You can see that's 91 kilobytes. That's where most of the logic happens for, I guess, most stuff. I mean, we can look through the functions here. App. Okay, that also has the app state. But you can see here like head, tail, call, clamping. That's what you use for the actual editor. There's some stuff here that's not necessary. Mode panel. What was that again? Yeah, but selection, like a bunch of calls here with a task. I think one last interesting thing we should talk about is how a task is set up. But yeah, you can see most of these are like task, either some form of message handling or what happens on links, bookmarks. Oh yeah, we have bookmarks. Man, it's been a while. Pushing, load and reset. Oh, what is this? Oh yeah, this was fun. Yeah, so I'm treating these like as macros here, as you might see. And instead of writing this all the time, you just write T. That's basically it. I think these are the menus. If we the menu bar. Yeah, so just a bit of helper stuff. But yeah, let's go over the task. What does it store? Or I guess, how does it store the app state? So here's the UI element, right? We can ignore that. It seems like I'm using indices. So list index and filter index. And then the visible parent, okay. So I think I have some like update states or like some update stage, because what we can see if we run Todool again, there's weird stuff with, so I guess the weirdest thing with this project in general is how do we get sort of a tree-like behavior, how do we get a tree-like behavior working, but still have it like be linearly traversable like this, right? We can move linearly. And then how do we get like some behavior like multi-selection working, all these kind of things. And I think the thing that I landed on in the end was not like a doubly linked list tree, but I think, how exactly did it work again? I think the task panel has just a bunch of tasks as children. And I think, yeah, we're using indentation. Okay, so we're cheating around a little bit here where we use indentation instead of actual task or like tree links. So instead of having children and stuff like that, it just has indentation, I believe. So the indentation is what you can see here, right? So it's like this is 0 indentation, 1, 2, whatever. And then the one benefit that we get is that everything is just linear, right? So we can do like stuff like this becomes basic now, right? It's just this is like the 10th index or 11th, and then this is 19th. So selection becomes really, really simple, right? Whereas if you have like a tree now, all of a sudden you got to store all you would have had to store all the nodes, for example. I think there was something weird still about this whole thing. I can't quite remember. Oh, yeah, I think I can remember. Let's avoid talking about that. But basically, making something linear, I think, it just feels much better. And in Todool's case, I played around with making it a tree and not making it a tree, and you know, I think it's just easier doing indentation and then simulating a tree. I think that's far easier. Okay, but the list index stuff and stuff like this, in the update, it's dependent on the indentation and how does it have a parent and things like that. So like this, right? So that's a parent, right? And the visible parent of this would be this. So like that's done in updating. Okay, hey, we got a call message. Would be great if we could insert images in the task. Yeah, I showed that. Or do you mean something else? You can just drag and drop on here. I don't think copy paste works with a path. Nope, it doesn't work. But yeah, where was I? Yeah, the whole tree stuff, we simulate with the indentation, right? This task state stuff is here. Here. Tag states. I'm using a UI8 with all the bits, so these are just bits. So they don't actually store any states, so that's why we can change them here. Right? Okay, and let's see the filter. How do we do the filtering again? I have to look. Oh yeah, we have highlighting as well. Some of these commands are weird. Focus, Alt-H. Okay, so here, this feature, this one took a long time, I think. Like getting this right was pretty tough. And yeah, so you can like focus on a region, and then once you actually, like, you can still move out, but then it actually shows you the rest, you know. Like I thought this feature was pretty dope back then. So just press Alt-H, and then you can focus on, hey, let's focus on bugs. But you cannot press stuff outside, but you can move out with the keyboard. Yeah. Okay. Is that it? Yeah, again, a lot of this stuff is just internal to the task state. So if you want to change anything about the task, you gotta do it here. I haven't eaten anything yet, so I'd say if you have any questions, maybe I'll do another stream where I fix some stuff up. I don't want to change too much. I want to see how, like, if people do anything too crazy on it, on the source. So I would say maybe next year I would start reworking it. But if people have changed stuff heavily, then, you know, I would take those things and like merge them back into the changed thing, or maybe just kind of like you have one fork and then another. Who knows? We'll see. I would say next year probably. So yeah. I could change the project structure. We could do that on stream still. Yeah, let's do that quick. I don't know if there's anything too crazy here. Font stash probably changed. That's a problem. So in the build file, I have the collection. This is what people kind of stumbled into. We should remove that. And everywhere we have this, we should change it to import vendor font stash, since it's now a thing. Let's replace that. Hey, why does it not find it? This should be a global thing, huh? Anyway. The fuck? Oh, wrong thing. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, this is kind of boring. I think programming itself is boring. I just kind of wanted to talk over the some of the structure if people are interested. So I'll do this stuff offline, but that's kind of the structure. I know I didn't get into some of the other stuff, like the strings or like fixed size and stuff like that. There are certain limitations under redo system and stuff like that. You could look into all these. If there's any open questions, just leave them in the Discord. I can explain things. But yeah, thank you guys. Have a good one.